Hey babes, and welcome to Gore Gossip. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Jaurdyn, and this is your weekly deep dive into all things terrifying true crime cases, cold blooded killers, and the occasional creepy conspiracy.
Plus, haunted dolls, cursed mirrors, and that one time your aunt swore her house was built on a portal to the Wonderworld.
If it's bloody, bizarre, or just plain bone chilling, we're talking about it.
And yes, we're bringing the gossip too, because what's a murder without a little side eye?
So lock the doors, light a candle,
and let's get into it. Tell Diggs I said we're gonna fight.
I'm gonna fight him. I even closed the door, hoping that it would block his barks. It's okay. Not.
You guys will just have to deal with Diggs tonight too.
So sorry, guys.
It's okay. Listen, we love puppies, right? We all love puppies. You better say you love puppies.
Otherwise.
Yeah. No, but today we have a really fun one today. So I decided that I was going to give y'all a little bit of a break today because we did a really dark one last week. Obviously, anything that involves a kid is dark. Mm-hmm. And I have a really dark one coming up for you very soon, and I needed a break from it. I had just started it, and then I was like, I'm gonna do something else because this is rough. So if that tells you anything,
Yikes.
There you go. So we'll have fun with that one when we get there, I promise. But I think we're gonna keep it a little light today and a little fun. Today we are stepping into the upside down. Well, not really, obviously. But we are going to be talking about the conspiracy that did inspire Stranger Things. Since the show just ended and we're all looking for a little fix of Hawkins and the party, I decided to take us to the place that inspired the story, the place that the show was originally named before it became Stranger Things. So when its working title, basically, when it was presented to Netflix. We're heading to Montauk, New York, and all the conspiracies surrounding it. Now, to understand the conspiracies, because it's a little crazy. There's a bumpy ride here, guys. To understand it, we have to do a little bit of the background, right, about the area. So Montauk is in New York, and it's on the easternmost tip of Long Island. So when you picture Long Island, it's literally at the very edge, the closest to the Atlantic Ocean. That's where it is. And the military base, sorry, I couldn't get that out, of Montauk is on that easternmost tip, literally the end. If you go to the Visit Montauk website, it'll tell you that the town is known for its beautiful beaches, all the family fun, and the beach town activities. And while that's all good and true, part of Montauk is a former military base that was disguised as a small fishing and beach village. Camp Hero is what it's now known as, or what it became known as, was commissioned in 1942 as part of World War II's coastal defense. Officially, it was a U.S. Air Force station. Unofficially, it was dressed up to look like a little seaside town, so German U-boats and other things like submarines and stuff, other of the Axis, wouldn't know that it was actually a military base. While the base itself was officially commissioned in 1942, the use of this area for military use dates back literally as far back as the Revolutionary War. So this was used as a military area for a very, very long time.
That's crazy, actually.
Yeah. Right? I was like, that's so interesting. And you can go directly to I think it's the United States naval or Air Force or whatever it is site that I was looking at. It'll tell you that it literally goes back that far, which is really cool. The site itself is just over 468 acres. So that's a lot of land, guys. That's huge. Today, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention today it's actually a state park, which is really nice. You can go and visit. People do go and visit all the time, but that's it's a lot. It's a big area. The military literally built fake buildings, fake storefronts, fake houses, even a fake church. Like, they literally could have just had a real church on the base and they made it a fake church. Do you want to know what it actually was? It was a gymnasium. It was literally their gym to like go work out.
Oh my god.
They had like a school that was like actually like their mess hall or something like that, like, or was their barracks, I forget, but like they literally had just like fake buildings. So it was pretty cool. But it was basically just throw off any possible enemy, because at the time there was like access powers of like their boats and stuff basically like kind of offshore, and they wanted to make sure that like they stayed away and offshore, and it was just in case there was any attacks over there, because as we know, you know, Pearl Harbor, that whole, you know, bit was on the other end, so they had this on that end to kind of keep an eye, and it worked really well. Tucked behind that area was basically the artillery batteries. So like those like big, I didn't know what that was. It's like those like big, like picture, like almost like a lookout kind of like thing, but it's not. It's literally like 4 like big machinery guns.
Yeah.
And radar. And what was real though in this little fake town was the radar tower that still stands there today, dominating the skyline like a relic of the Cold War paranoia that it is. That is, you know, like the radio tower in Stranger Things, like the lab, the Hawkins lab. That's literally what it's based off of, is this like radio tower, like this thing. But it was like a really big radar that they used to gather like intel of like any possible like enemy in the area, and it worked. Like that was legitimate, like what they did.
Dang.
While the base itself had everything it needed to function like a normal base, the disguise was very efficient for surveillance and defense, like I said. Believers claim that Camp Hero had multiple subterranean levels. Some say 2 floors, others say 12. The tunnels allegedly connected bunkers, barracks, the radio tower, and offices. It contained labs, psychic testing rooms, observation chambers. It featured reinforced blast doors, elevator shafts, and cable conduits. So, like, people literally believe that like underneath that radio tower and underneath like their barracks and stuff like were like levels of underground, like Area 51 basically.
Right. I mean, that kind of makes sense though, because like where else is everything if it's all disguised? Yeah. Like it would make sense for it to be underground.
Yeah. Now, so like what was inside the buildings was like legitimately like if it was supposed to be a gymnasium, like on the outside of the church, like inside was the gym. If it was disguised as like a storefront, but it was really an office, inside was the actual office. They just believed that there was more than what was on the surface level underneath, especially underneath that radio tower or the radar tower. Urban explorers describe seeing sealed metal doors with fresh padlocks, strange hums, and tunnels that vanish into darkness. Some claim underground corridors led toward Plum Island and Fort Terry, though this is unverified, not verified at all. Skeptics will admit that Camp Hero was unusually elaborate for a radar station, which makes the underground rumors kind of stick. Because, like, as we said, like as I said, like the buildings were like really basically what they were, and they would really use them for what they needed them to be. But there was so much more to it that, like, where was the rest of the stuff that they needed? Was it underground? And we'll get to that in a little bit about why we're not really sure. The base itself remained active, or parts of it remained active, until the 1980s, when it was fully decommissioned. Parts of the base were decommissioned early, though, and they did it kind of slowly. So, like, the batteries were decommissioned in 1947, and they had started to decommission it slowly, like I said, for various reasons over the years. It was used as a radar site, like I said, during the Cold War. It was also used as a firing range for field exercises and for anti-aircraft artillery. So, like, basically fighting off aircraft, like, exercises. The 80s is where we get into that bit of conspiracy, though. See, there is a theory that when it was decommissioned in the 80s, it was never really closed, that they never actually closed it. They just made it look like they stopped using it. And it transitioned into a site for a top secret science experiment, more prominently known as the Montauk Project. In 1992, Preston Nichols and Peter Moon wrote a book titled The Montauk Project. The book alleges that Camp Hero was home to some of the government's largest mind control experiments, as well as time travel, child abductions for the experiments, and hallucinogenic drug-induced experiments. So yes, this does kind of tie into MK Ultra a bit. Any major like military conspiracy or like government conspiracy of that nature of experiments, it ties back to Montauk, to Camp Hero.
Hello?
Thought I heard something for a second. Sorry. I was like, what was that?
Uh-oh, they're coming. We're talking about it.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about the government. Just kidding. Anyway. So Nichols and Moon claim to have been a part of that project. So they claim that their memories had been wiped, but they had started to slowly come back, and then here came the book. The book spawned sequels expanding like a cinematic universe, except with government mind control and psychic tanks instead of superheroes.
Okay.
One of the most popular experiments that Nicholas and Moon wrote about in this book is the ever infamous Montauk chair. The chair is basically exactly that, a chair that was used to amplify psychic abilities and turn thought into reality. So basically picture like Eleven's like tank that she went in, only it wasn't a tank, and it wasn't just her like them getting into other people's minds and amplifying the abilities that she already had. It was literally bringing things to life. This chair was more than just that, apparently. It would take your thoughts and materialize them into actual matter. So it was coming material to matter from thought alone. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a story in a minute. Allegedly, the participants who this was done on were usually youth who either ran away, were homeless, or, as alleged in the Montauk Project books, were abductees. Now, I did try to look up when the experiments really took place because there's a little back and forth. They mainly focus on the 70s and 80s and, the general area, because I wanted to look into the abduction cases and like that were in like this area or just Long Island in general. And it connects this back further to the Philadelphia experiment of 1943, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but we'll talk a little bit more about the abduction thing. So I did the research and I tried to look up like children and in or around Montauk that went missing during the 70s and 80s specifically, since this is mainly when Nichols and Moon talk about. And it really didn't turn much up. So then I just tried Long Island as like a whole. And it did pull up information, but not a lot. So basically the problem that I kept running into is that there wasn't a like good database for stuff like that back then. So things just like got kind of like lost, and there really wasn't like a way to keep track because it wasn't kept track of the same way it is now. The other problem is that the 70s and 80s were really a high crime time, especially for serial killers. So a government potential alleged project of experiments is kind of going to get lost in there. And there's just, since some of them are alleged runaways and stuff like that, the timeline is just so messy, and it's just very convenient when you're involving a government mind control and experiments. So that was a little difficult. But now we're going to talk about the Philadelphia experiment and how that connects to Camp Hero. So I never heard about the Philadelphia experiment before, but apparently it's a very big urban legend, like a military urban legend, that many believe in and many believe is connected to the Montauk Project. It also suggests that the experiment started earlier than the 70s, like I was saying, which most believe it really started during the Cold War and after World War II. The story goes that during World War II, there was a U.S. Navy experiment that involved the ship USS Eldridge. You've heard of this?
I have.
I had never heard of this before.
It's kind of terrifying.
Yes. So this was this actually happens 1943. Yeah. So the experiment using the ship is said to have been some kind of cloaking device that would make the ship not only undetectable but invisible. But it didn't just do that, and it was during World War II, so the threat of the Axis powers targeting the U.S., this would have been basically a game changer if this is legit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Witnesses on October 28th, 1943, claimed to have seen in Philadelphia at the port where this is happening, or the naval yard that this is happening at, claimed to see an eerie greenish bluish hue around the ship as the generators had started to spin. Suddenly, the ship vanished. So not only was it a cloaking device, it apparently just vanished. Can you hold on? I'm just going to take a beat real quick. Can you imagine a whole ass ship, especially the ships that we have today, just like poof, vanish in front of your face?
Poof. No. If I saw that happen, I would be like,
this would be my exact face. Because what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Would be like turning around, looking at everybody around me like, did you just see that? Did you just see that? Because like, what? A whole ass ship just like disappeared. So apparently it supposedly had been seen right after that at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Virginia before vanishing again and reappearing back in Philadelphia.
I just got the most chills down my body. I don't like that.
Let me just open a time portal space for a whole ass ship, guys.
Let's dive in.
Yeah. I'm about to die. Yeah, literally.
Splash.
Literally. Sorry you had to listen to me sing for a second.
A big old splash in Virginia and back to Philadelphia.
What do you mean? Okay. The military personnel on the ship are said to have either gone insane, developed mysterious illnesses, and some were apparently, you know what I'm about to say. She knows what I'm about to say. Some were apparently fused into the ship. All I could think about is Pirates of the Caribbean. Is it? I just argued about this the other day because I couldn't. Is it Dead Man's Chest, or what's the one with the guy who's like the octopus? His name is escaping me right now with Calypso.
Yes, Dead Man's Chest. It's with
Isn't
what's
it
his
Dead
name?
Man's Chest?
What is his name?
I can't remember.
Beard. No.
Yeah, I know. I can picture his face.
Me too.
He plays the guy with the octopus face. But yeah, literally, that's all I could think about was like Will's dad, like, and how he like comes off of the ship and he like says like he's whatever, like the name. I literally am forgetting everything because these are like my favorite movies, but like that's literally all I could think about during that part was like when they said that they were fused to the ship. That's horrible. Literally horrible. But it's alleged that the ship had disappeared like after this and showed up in 1983 off the coast of Montauk. So like it said that it had disappeared, basically got stuck in some kind of like time loop or time whatever, and showed up in like fast forward 1983 off the coast of Montauk. So that's how this like connects. This is not the only way that it connects, but this is like how it connects it.
Why would it jump so much? Why? I'm concerned. No, my brain can't compute. My brain cannot compute, Nicole.
Let's find out.
I'm scared.
Not only this, but the technology that is said to have been used on the ship was supposedly being experimented with at Camp Hero. And I'm going to assume that it was because the ship appeared there in 1983, or they kept using it from when it disappeared in 43 or whenever it disappeared. Nicole states in the book there were two main people, or at least I think they're the two main people, who claim to have been participants in both experiments. They were Al Bielek and Duncan Cameron. I looked into I looked into Al. She's literally clicking on something that I had like put in there.
It's not
I
letting
looked
me.
into Al, and there's literally a website called Bielik.com that talks about this guy's life. This page is a little out there. There's some things on there that I'm like question. I'm all for a good conspiracy. There's some things on there that I'm like, what the heck is this saying to me right now?
I'm kind of scared.
It's not like crazy bad. It's not bad, I'll say that. It's just like out there. It talks about how when he got contracted, so he was like military personnel, left, whatever. He got contracted to work at Camp Hero, and he said that this was the crazy part. He took a subway from his home in California to Montauk, Long Island. So like that's how out there this is. Like he got contracted to work out there. And
I wish that was true.
Same.
Very unlikely that we would not have heard about this happening.
Especially then.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Okay.
Like we want a high speed rail
to be like I want it to be real. We want it to be real. But it's not unless it's there for military personnel only. Secretly.
Sign me up.
They're not sharing.
Put me in the draft.
Yeah, exactly. No, please don't. Please
I'm
don't.
joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
It won't last, I promise. Anyway.
Okay.
Can you guys tell we're a little unhinged with this one today?
I love it. It's very spooky.
So he claims to have been the program director of the Montauk Chair. This is where he met Duncan Cameron and Preston Nichols. So Preston says that he was also involved in the Montauk Chair, and Duncan Cameron was also involved in the chair. Also, this is not like a cushy chair, like something that I like literally what I'm picturing is either like a rusted like folding chair or like just old gross looking wooden chair. Those are my two options. I don't actually remember which one it is. I think it's like the wooden chair. But yeah, those are my two options because they said that it was not like a nice looking chair. It was gross looking.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep thinking I'm hearing something.
What are you hearing? You're scaring me.
Nothing. It's just me. Okay. It's honestly just me moving.
Okay.
Where was I? Along with being a part of the psychic end of the project, psychic end of the project, he also was involved in the time travel experiments that happened in the 80s that he says. Allegedly. Some of the trips involved going back in time to 1000 BC, like 100,000 BC. I said 100,000 BC to a research station. Also to other planets, and then forward in time to the year 6037. I just want to put this out there that if you are somebody who's like ever interested in time travel, they currently say that the only thing that you can do time travel wise, if you could do it, is go forward. That like you literally couldn't go backwards. Like the only thing that you could do is go forward.
I think like there's too many rules. Like there's too many rules.
Yeah, like it's you just the right now like the way that science is like thinking about it. I'm not the best person to talk about this. Honestly, if you want answers to that, Deg is the better person to talk about that. But from my like what I remember from him, especially what him and I have talked about, you can only go forward. That's also, all I know.
Time out. Isn't this during the time with hallucinogenics? Didn't you say that they were doing hallucinogenic drugs? Okay.
That was a part of MK Ultra. Remember, it's supposed to. So I didn't add like too much about MK Ultra in this because obviously that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
we can deep dive into that and bring it back to Montauk another time if you guys want. Totally cool with that because I like talking about that stuff.
I do too.
I love any kind of good conspiracy. Obviously, while we're talking about this, but I didn't put too much in there. But it does tie back. They basically say that like Montauk was like used as part of like where they did it.
Yeah, I believe
part of the experiments. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. If any of it's true, I wouldn't doubt it. And especially because Nah, I say this later. I won't talk about it right now. But anyway,
sorry. We digress.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'll come back to that. Don't worry. Al said that his memories of all of this started to come back after he saw the movie The Philadelphia Experiment in 1988. This is a legitimate movie about the urban legend, the military urban legend. And he said that he went to go see it and it unlocked all of these memories for him. And then he talked to Nichols about it and Nichols put it in the book.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. It looked a little weird from the pictures that I saw of it. I won't lie.
Well, it's in the 80s, so
yep.
You gotta remember their CGI wasn't the best.
Sorry if you guys see me itching a lot. It's cold season and my skin is eczema right now. So if you see me, you're like, what is she doing? Eczema. I'm sorry.
Eczema.
Anyway, now we're going to talk about Duncan Cameron. And Duncan Cameron, on the other hand, even though Al, is a little out there, especially with his, California to Long Island, Duncan is very confusing and a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. Duncan's story starts that he was in the Navy and on board the USS.
Girl.
Guys, I don't know what that noise is.
I don't even hear anything.
I wonder if it's my chair.
Remember how we keep on having this happen with our chairs?
Yeah.
And weird sirens.
Sure All right, anyway. I'm sorry, guys. This is going to be one where you're going to be like, what is wrong with them? Anyway, so Duncan, I'll start that over for you. Duncan's story starts that he was in the Navy and on board the USS Eldridge when it went through time and space and reappeared in the 80s at Montauk. This is where he became involved in the experiments happening at Camp Hero. There, he and his brother, because his brother was also in the Navy and worked on the ship with him too. They worked in I think it's called like the control room, basically where like the whatever it's called,
like the radars are at or something like that. Yeah,
it's not that. It's hold on, I'll tell you right now. The generators. They worked on like the generators.
Okay, so underneath in the water.
Yeah.
Part.
So like they were the ones apparently who like did the like part of like having the cloaking like device or whatever it is, like the technology that was used on the ship. Like they're the ones that supposedly did it with like using the generators for it. So like that's apparently what they did.
Okay.
This is where they met Dr. John von Neumann, who is said to be behind a great deal of the experiments on Montauk Space. After speaking with Dr. Neumann for a bit, they agreed to him to make several time travel trips before returning to 1943 for good. So he basically said, like, hey, you came through, you guys were fine, everything's good for you guys, like, can you continue to make these trips for me? And then you guys need to go back to 1943 and stay there, because obviously that would mess things up.
Right.
But Duncan didn't stay in 1943. Edward did. Edward went back. He went back to 1983 for some unknown reason. They didn't really know why he came back, and he decided to stay there. And he stayed there, and he was starting to basically age rapidly because he wasn't supposed to be there, I'm assuming.
Okay.
So the doctors there decided they needed to try to save Duncan by transferring his mind to a new body. And what, who, and where was this new body, you may ask? What body were they using to put his mind in? That's a great question. I'll tell you. The doctors apparently went to 1947. They went back in time and told Duncan's dad that, like Duncan Sr., so he has the same name, that they needed to save his son's life and that he needed to help them. And in order for him to do that, he needed to have another son beside Edward, who time traveled with him. So he had another son in the 50s, also named Duncan. And when this Duncan was 12 in the 60s, he was brought to Montauk where his mind was pushed out and somehow the original Duncan Jr.'s mind was placed in the body of his 12-year-old brother and took over. He took over. And what happened to Edward, you might ask, when he went back to 1943 and stayed there? Nothing. He just went back to living a normal life. Nothing was wrong with him. He didn't get sick. Nothing happened. He was fine.
What?
I'm not done. I'm not done talking about Duncan. Because his story didn't end there. Duncan Cameron is now deeply involved in the experiments. And he was hooked up to the Montauk chair. So, okay, one more time. He went back to
47?
83.
83,
He went back
sorry.
to 1983, right? Stayed there. His body was aging rapidly because he wasn't supposed to be there. My assumption, not necessarily what they say, my assumption. I think they actually might say it. Anyway, I'm just telling you it's my assumption. Stays there, body aging rapidly. They say, we're going to save you by transferring your mind into another person's body. We're going to go back in time to 1947, tell your dad he needs to have another child, another son, to save your life. He has another son, names that one Duncan. We're going to call him the second. I don't think that's actually what he was called. We're going to call him the second because Duncan Sr., Duncan Jr., the one that's time traveling, Duncan the second. We're going to go with that. I think that's like the right progression of things.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I'm just guessing.
Okay. I trust you.
I don't actually know. That's just what we're going with. But we'll call him Junior Junior. How about that?
Junior.
I think that's better. Okay, Junior Junior. We'll call him Junior Junior. When Junior Junior is 12 in the 60s, he gets brought to Montauk to go save his brother, Duncan Jr. And his mind, Duncan Junior Junior's, gets pushed out of his own body, and regular Junior's body mind gets put into 12-year-old's body. And he takes over the body. And then they take him as an adolescent and put him in the chair. So now he is like their main person for the chair. He's their 11, basically. That's where we're at. Okay? I know that was a lot. I'm really sorry. It's so confusing.
I am deeply concerned.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Hold on. Child.
Okay. The psychic amplification during him being in the chair reached very critical levels. Thoughts that had previously manifested objects allegedly became something far more organic. So, like, basically what they're saying is that you would have a thought about, like, I don't know, let's say microphone, and microphone would appear, right? Like you were manifesting something, a thought, and making it physical. Well, it became more than just an inanimate object. It became an animate object, like organic, like person, like dog, like animal. You know what I'm saying? Like it became more than just an inanimate object. From Duncan's subconscious, a massive, monstrous entity was said to have materialized inside the base. So somewhere in his subconscious, he had a thought about some kind of monster. And that thought, because it had amplified so much, like his psychic ability had amplified so much, became reality. It came out in the lower levels. Because remember, again, they're said to have been in the lower levels of the radar tower, like underground. Eyewitness accounts of this in the lore describe electrical systems overloading, with sparks flying, alarms going off, the creature rampaging through the underground tunnels with staff panicking as equipment was basically just destroyed. Nichols claims that the event forced the immediate shutdown of the experiments. Power was cut, doors were sealed, and the beast disappeared. or store the story. So the story goes. This is, of course, where the lore starts blending with urban legend. Biologists might scoff and say, there's no way. While conspiracy enthusiasts see it as a confirmation of the Montauk Project's potential to warp reality itself. After the Beast incident, according to Nichols, the underground levels were flooded and sealed, basically to entrap it. The entrances and tunnels were locked off. The project was officially terminated, according to him, on August 12th, 1983. This is crazy, guys. Crazy, I'm telling you. From an official perspective, Camp Hero was decommissioned as a radar station, transferred to the U.S. Coast Guard, and eventually became Camp Hero State Park in 2002. So remember I said, like, it's a state park now? That's when it became. Today, the radar tower still stands, towering over the landscape. Many of the bunkers are sealed, but entrances and vents are still visible. Visitors often report strange noises, unexplained hums, and unmarked vehicles. Whether these are mundane phenomena, misinterpretations, or something more is the exact space where the Montauk Project thrives. It's the tension between the documented reality and what people believe happened that keeps the story alive. And this is where the Montauk Project jumps from fringe lore to mainstream pop culture. When the Duffer Brothers pitched Stranger Things, the working title was literally Montauk, like I mentioned earlier. The original pilot was set in New York and explicitly drew from the Montauk Project claims of psychic child test subjects, 11, secret underground government lab, Camp Hero, interdimensional rift, Montauk chair, portals and monster escaping, the beast, subconscious manifestation. For viewers, the parallels were unmistakable. Hawkins' lab may be fictional, but the inspiration for it is very, very real. In the sense that there's a real radar base, real bunkers, and a decades-long conspiracy theory surrounding it. By moving the show to Indiana, the Duffer Brothers gave themselves creative freedom and logistical flexibility, but Montauk's DNA is still in every dimensional tear, psychic power surge, and mysterious government cover-up in the series. I mean, they literally shut down the middle of the town, like downtown area, right, if you want to call it that, and like just take over and just don't say anything about what it is. Like, they're just there, and then they just tell you not to go in certain areas. Even decades later, Camp Hero continues to attract curiosity seekers, urban explorers, and paranormal investigators. Believers argue that secret research might still continue, or that residual energy from past experiments lingers. Skeptics naturally suggest that the odd noises and locked doors are just part of a decommissioned Cold War era base. Either way, Montauk remains a fertile ground for creepiness, conspiracy, and storytelling. Mm-hmm. So, now I need to ask you guys. I haven't done one of these in a while. What do you think? Do you think that this is real? That there was truly experiments going on children and psychic things? That there was really a time jump? And this guy really rode a subway from California to Long Island? Or do you think it's just talk?
I don't want to be a buzzkill here. But I'm going to say the fact that they, like, I don't know, this is at a time where you're being experimental with drugs. You want to try and figure out if you can try and beat the frickin' Soviets to the moon kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like, I would love for it to be true. Do I believe it's all true? No. It would be nice if it was, though. Because Stranger Things, baby. Come on.
I know. The conspiracy in me, the conspiracist, whatever you want to call it, in me believes in some of it, right?
Right.
Because, like, we're going to take it back to MK Ultra for a second. I said that we were going to come back to it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but, like, I'm not a lot. Like, obviously those were decommissioned files, right? They were legitimate, like, things that happened. It was a legitimate experiment. Like, that was something that did happen. And it relates to Montauk in the sense of, they say, skeptics, I don't think there's actually anything in the files, but skeptics say, or conspiracists believe, that Montauk was one of the places where they performed that part of that experiment, right? And not just that one. There's other ones that, like, other projects that have been decommissioned, that or experiments that have been decommissioned, that, like, people relate back to Montauk. Like I said earlier, take anything that is like a military or government conspiracy for experiments and bring it back to Montauk. They're going to say that it was happening at Montauk too. Do I think that that's possible and could have been happening? Yes. Do I agree and believe everything that they say happened at Montauk? No, I don't. Because some of them are just too out there. But again, like, are things just too out there because we don't want to believe in it, or did it really happen?
Right.
You know? Well, that was a fun one to do with you guys.
So fun. I love
doing conspiracies.
I must ask you though. Did you like the end of Stranger Things?
Oh, okay. If you have not watched it yet, skip this part. We love you.
Skip ahead like 3 minutes.
Yes, I will say that I did like the end. I did not like the entire season. I'll lead with that. I did not like the entire end of the season. Did I like the last episode? Yes, to a degree. What I really liked was the ending, and I'll say this is why. Because they started the show playing the game, right? Because technically the show is about a bunch of kids that play D&D and, like, come upon a mystery. And then it's all about these kids who play D&D fighting monsters that they call, you know, the names of their D&D, like, stuff of Dungeons and Dragons, like, basically characters, monsters, whatever they call them, that, right? And I like that they ended the show doing the same way, with Mike telling the story. Again, big spoiler here, so if you haven't watched it, I'm gonna say something. Do I know? Do I believe that Elle died? I don't know, and I like that I don't know. I feel content enough with the way that it ended that, you know, could Mike have just been telling a story because that's what he wants to believe? And I know he thinks that he heard the noise because he saw, you know, everything. But did it actually happen? Did that noise that, like, you know, abates her power, did it actually happen? I don't know. I know they talk about it in that scene, but did it actually happen? I don't know. And I don't know whether she's actually alive or not. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I'll believe what I want to believe.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I actually really liked it. I know we're in the minority here because a lot of people were like, why didn't there be more deaths and why did you leave it so open-ended? But I think it was like the perfect way to end it, truly. I mean, like you mentioned, like Mike being the storyteller was so good, like so cathartic. It just felt so cathartic. And we're like closing this chapter on literally like a decades-long show that I think like we haven't really got to experience that. I mean, like the only thing that I can like compare to is like Lost, but I was like 8 years old when I was watching it. I didn't completely understand, but like Stranger Things is so good. I know people were upset because like in some clips the Duffer brothers said that they didn't completely like finish it until like the last day of filming, but like I don't care. They did a lot, and they allowed us to connect with these characters, and you really got to see them grow up, and that's what I really liked. And that end scene of Elle at the 3 waterfalls, I was sobbing.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. I think my thing is that the Duffer Brothers definitely had a lot of plot holes that they didn't, bringing Callie back just because people complained about, like, why were we talking? Like, I literally felt like the issue was just brought back because we complained about season 2, like, what was the point of season 2? Like, and then they brought it back, like, this was the plan all along, basically, haha. And it's like, I don't think it actually was, dude. Like, like, there was a lot of plot holes. I will say that there was stuff that was unfinished. There was stuff that was untouched. And of course, like, I don't know, no show is ever perfect. I mean, look at how bad we ripped apart Game of Thrones at the ending of that.
Right.
I will stand by that.
Me
though.
too.
I will stand by ripping that apart because
Me too.
We'll talk about that another time. Sorry, that's another rant for another day. But anyway, yeah, I did like the ending though. That, I think, it was not my favorite season, obviously. Like, it was obviously rushed. They needed to get it done. They needed to fit in as much as they could. I think the thing about not killing people off, you guys would have been mad if they did kill them off. I mean, you're going to be mad if they don't, and you're going to be even more mad if they did. Look at how many people were freaking out over Joe Keery, possibly dying, like Steve possibly dying. I definitely would have rioted if Steve had died, and I'm glad he didn't. I didn't want him to. And I'm glad him and Dustin reconciled. Like, I hated that they were literally fighting the entire season, and then they reconciled, and that was fabulous. But, like, yeah, I think you guys would have been even more mad if they had killed anybody off than you are about them not killing somebody off, to be quite honest. I mean, I don't know. But I just liked it. I liked the ending. I liked the open-ended. I felt very content with that kind of ending. I think I liked that, there's a possibility of her still being alive. There's a possibility that it's just Mike wanting to believe that, and I think that's perfectly fine. It's just, sometimes I feel content with an open ending like that. It just has to be done right, and in my opinion, they did it right.
I agree. So you guys can hate on us, that's fine, but I enjoyed it. And it was really a good end of the year for the gays, I'll tell you that. Got to have a cute little coming out scene where there was like, in a world, like, they're fearful for Will, but like, they're like, we're here for you, we don't care.
And I saw some complaints about the way it was, how it felt so, like, forced. But, like, we all knew it was coming. I mean, it had to have been forced. Do I like the way it happened? No, but not every story of coming out is going to be perfect. And I think that kind of captured that, Yeah,
and then we also got heated rivalry, too, which was incredible. So
one of probably the best show of the year.
I agree.
In my opinion, I am very excited. I literally just talked about this, like, in a TikTok that I made right before we started recording, because I was talking about something else, but I was talking about that. I'm very excited. I'm in the middle of reading it. I'm taking a little bit right now because I'm going to read something else real quick, but I'm so excited about it. I loved it. As a woman, I liked taking myself out of the equation for a hot minute. You know what I mean? I liked watching a story about two people just falling in love and, like, going through the motions of what that is for them. And Shane and Ilya are just amazing. Like, I can't get enough of them. God. And Scott and Kip, I love them. I read Game Changer because I wanted their story. I wanted more of their story. So I love that. And I like that Rachel Reed announced a new book for them. Also, if you guys just want us to do a podcast about books and movies, we'll do that as well. I'm sorry that you're listening to this right now.
Let us know. We'll do it.
We'll do it, I promise. All right, well, that's enough of us ranting. But if you have your own stories, maybe, I don't know what we kind of just been talking, like a little listener corner, but like maybe like we'll do like gossip tales or gossiper corner or something along those lines with gossip. I don't know. I literally was just thinking about this. Jaurdyn doesn't even know what I'm talking about right now. This just happened to be something that popped into my head.
Listen, I'm connected. I understand. I get it. We're on the same mind.
Anyway, send your story in to goreandgossippod@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys. We want your own tales, and please send them in. So whether it's crime, conspiracy, or just straight up spooky, we're going to keep talking about it. Like, follow, comment, and stay tuned for new episodes each week because it'll just keep getting darker and spookier from here. So stay nosy and stay spooky, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.